Welcome to another episode of Read the Room, man. How are you?
You know me, I'm just living the dream now in the valley of Arizona. Had to
We're in
make
the valley.
Mesa,
Oh, nice.
the land of table.
The land of Mormons and heat,
Yep.
right?
Hot. It's full of crappy drivers, and it's
Yeah.
been an experience already this morning. So, to those of you in the audience who are wondering why we had a delay, it's because of this guy.
Well, I mean, you either want to blow your brains out or someone else's on the 101 because no, they can't drive.
Yeah.
No,
It's
they
bad.
drive like this. That's
It's
how they drive.
so bad.
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge, even when you're a passenger in an Uber from the airport. Whenever I come in there, I'm like, wow, that hasn't changed. Did you guys all come from Maryland or Delaware? Yeah.
It's astounding. I don't understand it, but you know, to each their own.
Right, right. Well, before we jump into the topic du jour, I want you to explain to me what the over and under actually means. Explain that to the audience and to me as well.
In terms of betting,
Correct.
sports betting,
Yes.
an over under is for a point total. So let's say a combined point total. So last night the Bills and the Dolphins played. Let's say the over under was 48 and a half. That means that the combined score of both teams would either be over 48 and a half or under. So that is the over under.
Got it. Because I know they bet on everything, how many eyelashes fall out of a player to points to who gets injured, the whole 9 yards, right?
Yep.
This
That's
is
prop bets. You can do
Mhm.
heads or tails. If it were eyelashes, two eyelashes would be the line, and you'd bet over two, under two.
So yeah, I never knew that because heard it forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, don't gamble, don't play poker, don't bet, stuff like that. Just never have. There he is. What's up, Don Juan?
Good morning. I left my head somewhere. Hold on a second.
Get that hat on, bro. Uh-oh.
Take that hat off.
Little rivalry coming. Uh-oh.
Hold,
Jeez.
hold.
I just got
Oh
Music
God!
City on,
Don't
so
do
I'm
it.
good. All right.
Don't do it.
We're neutral.
Pull
Look
out
at that. Look at
the
that image he's got
moment.
on his screen. Holy shnikes. Don, you got to put up a cat or something too. Look, it's Mr. Peabody.
Ah,
Oh, there you go.
the
Little
Diamondbacks.
little hometown action, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I've been to they have nice stadium, good crowds.
Yeah.
Haven't been in the pool.
Yep.
I'm sure that still kind of sticks with some Diamondback. But it's a great baseball town now. I mean, the Dodgers train in Arizona. I've been there a few times.
Yeah.
So and it's turned into a good rivalry.
Yeah, Diamondbacks are overachievers, classic overachievers, and spring training is always popping. I mean, it kicks the shit. Cactus League kicks the shit out
Yeah,
of Grapefruit League, so it's not even
Mhm.
close. Not even close.
I love that. I love that time of year in Arizona, that, March forward, right? I mean, it's fantastic outside.
Yes, it is.
So thank you for explaining the over and under to me because hear it all the time, and I gotta go. I'm like, I gotta ask Rico what the hell that means, right?
Well, and I can.
So combined sports score total, boom, right over this, under that. Got it. Okay, perfect, perfect, amundo. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, a little bit limited on time today. I apologize for that, but I do have to get prepared for being a massive fanboy tomorrow when my wife and I go to the Solheim Cup here in Virginia, and I get
Yep.
to see some of my favorite female athletes who are some of the best golfers in the world. If I get within 100 yards of Nelly Korda, I'm gonna melt into
Uh-oh.
sugar, like with rain. It's just like I'm gonna go into a little pile of sugar, and I'll be like this big.
Dude,
Okay,
you're so weird.
it doesn't matter. And
Weird.
the same with Lexi Thompson, and the same. If Charlie Hall walks by me, I'm gonna bring my own pack of cigarettes
I've
and
never
ask her
met
if
a
she wants one.
straight man. I've never met a straight man that likes women's sports as much as you.
Man, they're
I
just so
don't
good.
understand it. It's like
Female
watching
surfers? Are you kidding me?
underwater men's sports. Cool. Hey, to each their own. Once again,
Hey, I got Title IX etched on my soul. I was
There you go.
14 when that came into to law, and was an athlete then, and it made sports even better. So I have a lot of stoke and appreciation for female athletes.
fair enough.
Having said all that, excuse me. Our topic du jour today is all sizzle no steak, and so I can't wait to hear some of the pithy comments from my brethren here on the debate on Tuesday night. In my opinion, the subtitle is presidential debate, the debate that could have been. Or that meme with a guy from Parks and Rec, the swing and a miss meme, just cracks me up. I'm like, darn, there we go, right? Don, what are your thoughts about that 90-minute adventure that we all witnessed?
Well, I mean, it's become tradition with me to not watch the live event and do something else and then come back and watch the recorded event and then take in all the analysis afterward, whatever. I was working Tuesday night, so I didn't even get a chance to really to get into the recorded version until afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I approach these things maybe far too seriously nowadays, and I see far more consequence in them than I should. Um, in my head, I knew what Trump should say, what the tone was, and oh, by the way, that he should have controlled that debate for no other reason than he had all the issues that are relevant to voters on his side. Now, and I've heard all the analysis. To me, he came up short. There was a distraction, or he just fell into too much of what I consider like Trump shtick, and it was a missed opportunities. When you talk about swing and a miss, and again, I use this analogy all the time. It was Kamala Harris at that debate. To me, at that was the hanging slider that he should have knocked out of the park every single time, and it didn't happen. But I'll say this much, and I do agree with some post analysis that I don't think it matters. I don't think it changed any votes. The only negative thing I could say about it is it didn't garner Trump any more votes. So
So he
you know,
didn't reach independence, in other words,
correct. Yeah, I
groups that he could have reached. Okay. What about you there, Uncle Rico? What's your analysis?
Well, the name of the show is All Sizzle, No Steak. You
Yes.
got it. You've got it right. I would say that Trump left a lot of meat on the bone, but he never even got to the bone. It was pathetic. He did a pathetic job. That is the only way to put it. Now, that being said, the Kamala also didn't do any help to herself. The thing that frustrated me is, like Don said, hanging sliders, hanging curves. Like we sat here for over a month, maybe two, talking about what he needs to do, and how any sane person could watch that and think that he did a good job is absurd, because we literally mapped out what he would have to say after
Yep.
any topic, any range of topics came up. It was like he had his sons around him and his yes man going, "Yeah, Dad, be Trumpy. Go in there, Dad. You're bad." Like, he didn't even bring up getting shot for the people. One, didn't bring that up. Every time he had a chance to ask Kamala to get the questions out of her, he never did. And I get he was 3-on-1, and he should have been, he knew that going in. That's the
Yep.
frustrating part, is
Yep.
they knew this going in. And honestly, what I think it was is Kamala rattled him from step one. When she went over to that podium and did that stupid handshake, and she's like, "Hi, Kamala Harris." He, everything went out the door. He's like, "This bitch." And it was just, it was like he couldn't believe that he was there with this bad of a candidate and wasn't able to get out the things that he wanted to.
Okay.
Like, he was stumbling, he was missing his points. He was, when he started talking about the Haitians eating cats, like, I put my hands in my face. I'm like, Jesus H. Like, all he did was remind people of who he is. And some people like it and some people don't. Now, on the flip side, the positive side is Kamala didn't help herself. While she won that debate clearly, she
Mm.
was reserved. She had sly remarks. She missed because all she did was talk about turning the page. And this was the thing that pissed me off, but Trump laid the last punch when he said, "You could be doing this right now. It's 3.5
Right.
years. What are you talking
Right.
about? Turn the
Right.
page." Like,
Hmm.
he should have beat that in to everything he was doing. So Kamala didn't help herself because she was too busy talking about Trump the whole time and turning the page, as if the Democrats haven't been in power for 12 of the last 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I digress. I could
All
say
right.
plenty more, but I'd like to give you the floor now.
All right. Well, no, I appreciate that from both of you guys. I bring an additional perspective because all this Beltway hootenanny and experience, but yours, in my opinion, is the experience that matters most. Quite frankly, I'm going to start a little. I'm going to start with a Beltway hootenanny in just a second. I'm a traditionalist when it comes to debates. Um, the purpose of a debate is to explain ideas in detail. And you have a moderator there who, him or her, are there to ask questions to elicit those responses and details from participants. That's the what, buddy? What were you going to ask?
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Now, you say the point of a debate is to get out policies, get out
Elicit ideas in detail.
illicit ideas. You
Mhm.
see, I thought the whole point of debates was to win.
I would argue that that is secondary, and I'll explain that. But is that your only question? Because
Yeah,
I'll
that's my
incorporate.
only
Okay,
question.
I'll incorporate that.
I know once the dust settles, it's a little different. But coming
Hmm.
from a debating background, I always felt that you won by getting your ideas out succinctly, and that's how you would overcome.
Well, so again, I'm a traditionalist in that regard. Ideas, details, point counterpoint, right? Intellectual exchange of arguments or different points of view. moderator is as neutral as a couple of tablets of Alka-Seltzer, right? Um, these two bozos from ABC News, and let's examine that for a minute. David Muir is the same as a Stepford wife. He's a robot. Okay. Lindsay Davis, whoever the fuck she is, other than a sorority sister of Kamala Harris,
Right.
both went to
Which
Howard.
Trump didn't bring up.
Nobody did, but I will get into that in a second. And then, in addition to that, the president of ABC News and Kamala Harris are close as a couple of fingers. They're like Mike Lindell and Donald Trump, right? They're like boop integrated, right? Well, who owns ABC News? Disney. What does Disney have to lose if they allow their moderators to allow questions about China and foreign policy and beating up foreign partners where they have business all over the planet? So that enormous thumb on the scale, I think they both put their ass cheeks on the scale, quite frankly. Jason Miller, who's a friend of mine, other people in the Trump campaign who are friends, Trump's additional inner circle, they all know this stuff. I think they allowed that to get in the way of some of their thinking going into it. This is me just speculating. I haven't talked to any colleagues. I've been on the Hill the last couple of days until members split last night. But they allowed that to get in the way, guys, in such a way that it was like, fuck it. They're gonna be biased. They're gonna interrupt me. They're gonna fact check me. They're gonna fuck with me. She's gonna fuck around and ask me a bunch of stupid ass, pointed, get under my skin questions, which I fell for like a largemouth bass with a piece of dough on a hook every time she threw it into the fucking pond, right? I just came right up there, big largemouth bass, and went and took it, right? He let that spin around in the front part of his head instead of every single time she said something, because he already knew in advance she would not have anything of substance. She would not show a detailed plan, Sam I am. She would not bring her homework home because the dog ate it. Every excuse. Oh, did I get too close to a nerve? The dog ate it. Wait, the Haitians ate the dog, so there is no dog. Anyway, she would not even get close to explaining herself because she doesn't have a plan mostly for everything. Okay? And so he let that get in the way and missed one opportunity after another. So that's the subset, in my view, of what happened versus what a debate should be. Let's go to reality just for a second. Rick, you're right. Don, 100%. He missed opportunities to left jab her every single time and put her down on the canvas uh, before 45 minutes of that debate was over. And she would have been staggering like someone that Leon Spinks, who took a Mike Tyson punch, right? For the remainder of the debate. And they could have just put little Pinocchio strings on her and tried to help her up as much as possible. It wouldn't have mattered.
And this is the thing that frustrates me so much. I don't mean to come in, but
No. Go ahead, because I'll finish. But please tell me
Trump
what you think.
playing the angry, I'm so upset because this is so serious. He should have done exactly what you said if he was taking it serious. Like, this isn't time to F around. Like, he
Mhm.
needed to have his A game, and he brought his F game, which was F it. I'm going to be Trump.
Mhm.
Throughout everything that they were
Excuse me.
working towards. I mean, he's giving her a chance. He opened the door for her to have a chance. Like, I said this at least going in, we would decide how easy the race would be or how difficult.
Right.
and he didn't make it any easier for the never Trumpers and the people that are undecided, because he didn't get his point across. He left so much meat on the bone, and he's never going to have that chance again, especially since he's now trying to leverage potentially another debate. But in reality,
Well,
I think he's just licking his wounds. Like,
well,
let's be honest, he's
eh,
licking his wounds and afraid to debate her again. And
well,
that's sad.
that's I because again, all the post debate analysis and everything else. The one thing I didn't get, and maybe this is why I get frustrated sometimes with Trump, because the part of his personality that wants to fight, I tend to support. So I'm wondering, well, okay, let's just say that debate went poorly, whatever you want to call it. So why is he? And I'm not up to date with the latest, whatever. But why is he now not wanting another debate? I would think
I'll
that
tell you about that in a second.
I would just think that to me, and again, maybe it's just my over competitive nature. It's like, okay, you knocked me down, and maybe I didn't get in the licks I wanted. Let's do this one more time. You're so tough, you're so smart, and you're going to turn that page. Come back and let's do it on Fox. And he should be out there every single day
She
making
already
that.
said no to that.
Yeah. Well,
But go ahead and finish
okay.
because I'll
No,
give you some background.
and maybe I'm just venting, and because I just don't know.
Good.
But to me, this is a fight. It's always been a fight. And if you're not going to give it everything you got at every opportunity, because I do recall Trump saying, any place, anytime, whatever. So to me, it's like, and again, let her continue to refuse. I would bet at one instance of her trying being asked that question and refusing, she's going to say something she shouldn't. I'm just saying,
Okay.
why take it off the table? Because again, as long as you engage her, you increase the possibility that she'll expose herself. And
Okay.
I'm just in a quandary. I just don't know why. I understand the calendar and everything else,
Mhm.
but I just think, man, you just want another, unless Trump doesn't want to, and that's not a good thing.
So here's the thing. Did you guys see any, not just a clip, but did you watch any of his Tucson rally yesterday?
I saw part of it.
Okay.
Hmm.
Did you get a chance to see it, Rico?
Yeah.
Okay. So they know going in that it's going to be bias. He's not going to get an even shake. It won't be like the CNN experience, all the delineating factors that led up to that. And their attitude, I'm guessing, I haven't talked to Jason Miller, I haven't talked to a couple of other colleagues, like I said, yet, is we already know we're not getting out of this thing unscathed because we know what they're going to try and do. And yes, he fell for it. Their attitude now is 5 minutes after the debate was over, she asked for a new one because she knew she didn't win, right? In their opinion, in the Harris campaign opinion, Trump is going to go out and do rallies, probably 6, 7 of them a day in the last couple of weeks, like he did in 16. They've got an October 1 vice presidential debate where most likely JD Vance, and I don't know who the network is off the top of my head, unless you guys do, but it'll be one of them, CBS, somebody, right? JD Vance will rip open the Pillsbury Doughboy's asshole on television.
That's what we thought Trump
Um,
would do.
if he's given the chance, that's my disclaimer, right? Because Walls can't obfuscate and get away with it. He can, but he's not very good at it. Anyway, I'll just let that hang there. So their attitude is we'll spend the next 8 weeks circling around the country, pointing out exactly what she should be doing, what isn't happening, etc. And that's part of what happened in Tucson yesterday. The Let Trump Be Trump piece, whether you like it or not, you're going to have to stick with it. So here's my scoreboard, if you will, predicated on who brought ideas to the table. and flesh them out even just a little bit. 55 Trump, 45 her, because she brought that many ideas to the table and fleshed them out. He brought some, 3, fleshed them out a little bit, left more meat on the bone, Rick, as you said. That's my point of view. And they went like this, guys. They went rearview mirror, forward, we know what we need to do. We've done this twice before. And so they'll go around the country and pound her in and out and force her to have to come up with specifics. And I'm telling you, if she doesn't, guys like you, your better halves, your neighbors, people who are skeptical or on the fence, as much as they don't like this dude right here, they're not going to fall for an empty bag. They got to have, people are in pain, man. I mean, inflation just went up 2.5% higher than it was the month before. It's going to continue for the next 8 weeks. And, you can do SPR stuff and fuck around with interest rates, but it's not going to help people in 8 weeks, right? It's just not. It's very unfortunate. So that's kind of where I think they are at this point, and we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, from 2016, I recall, because I clearly didn't support Trump approaching the convention. I caucused for, of all people, Marco Rubio.
Yes,
My
I
wife, I
remember you
believe,
said
caucused for Ted Cruz.
that.
Neither
Excuse
one of us were dedicated to Trump. And in fact, Trump actually appeared at the precinct where we were doing, it was at a high school, we had the caucusing. So I saw him almost 20 feet in front of me.
in Nevada.
In Nevada, right,
Yeah, I
correct.
remember that. That who's in Henderson. Well, you're not in Henderson, but yeah, you are, aren't
Correct.
you? Yeah,
No, well, I'm in Centennial Hills. I mean, it sounds
Centennial
old,
Hills. Okay.
but it's like west north of Las
Yeah,
Vegas.
that was Dean Heller when he was.
Correct.
Yeah,
Absolutely correct.
that was his
But
district. Yep.
so I always kind of felt standoffish about Trump. But again, and I kept watching through 2016. I kept saying, is this guy deliberately trying to lose? And I'm looking at Access Hollywood and all the other stuff. I'm like, are you going to actually campaign to win, or because the speculation was that maybe he's just doing it to kind of glorify his image and it's on to his next project. That was the thinking. So I'm going to give him that grace this time around.
All right.
But man, and I'm not the one that buys into, oh, this is the most important election. You know what? Yes, it is, because I've seen what's happened in this country just in the past 4 years, and how we are just evolving into drag queen story time
Yep.
and all these, pardon me, freaks in that administration, and how far we're getting away from, raising kids, my opinion, the right way. I just don't think that, I feel another 4 years or more of the Democrats and certainly Kamala Harris having
Yep.
any influence over national policy is just going to continue to take us back even farther. So
The further you get away from God, the more you
yeah,
become Sodom and Gomorrah.
and,
Period.
and it's just like I said, I'm frustrated because I need for Trump to win. I'm not a Trumper in the sense that I'm enamored with him in terms of his personality. To me, he's the guy that needs to win because at the very least he'll stand in the way of that nonsense, and I think maybe inspire kind of a turnaround in this country, or lead a turnaround to where people are going to reconsider
Hmm.
traditional values. And I
Hmm.
know Trump is not exactly the poster boy for that,
All right.
but it's like it's got to be somebody, and it's him. So
So,
that's
Ricky, what
where
do
I'm
you
at.
think about that, buddy? Excuse me.
Well, I think that there is going to be enough for Trump to move forward, move past this debate. People will forget about it.
Yeah.
Football season, the best thing that could have happened to him, and I talked to you about this, and it's what Kamala's people were doing, is they were hedging their bet. that she was going to tank, and luckily the next day would be 9/11 and steal a portion of the headlines. Well, instead, she mopped up the floor with Trump, and, or should I say, Trump mopped himself up, and he got the benefit of that. Number two, I think one of the things that kind of calmed things down right away is
Mhm.
him and Vance showing up at the same
Yep.
9/11
Hmm.
remembrance with Biden and Kamala, and the two of them shaking hands, kind of
Mhm.
cordially, not as so to say. But uh, I think for some people, it was like, okay, that was that, and the page has already been turned, so maybe so should
Mhm.
I. I
Did you
think,
see how, unfortunately, but the families obviously felt very strongly about it, that some of family members made a comments about, Biden was on, getting on Air Force One. He goes, "Yeah, and tomorrow I'm doing that 9/11 thing."
Right. Yeah. Hmm.
Right? He said that,
Right.
Tuesday afternoon as he was flying up to New York, and so they also, one family member made some very strong comments about, "We take umbrage at that." I'm being nice about it. Then another family member is like, "Under no circumstances should any presidential candidate, be, an enemy of Israel." You don't hear that. Didn't hear that for the last 22 years. So people feel very strongly. So there's a disruption in the force, if you will, to use a Star Wars analogy, right? I was like, wow, for those families to invect that at that time, they are not happy with this current administration.
yeah, I mean,
Then you heard the guys all yelling for Trump and going, Donald, did you see that? Yeah. Anyway.
personally, I don't really put much stock into family members saying political things that suffered tragedies from 9/11, which was 23 years ago.
Mhm.
Um, you know,
Well, I think it's their right
tribute,
to, but
tribute,
yeah,
whatever.
but my point is that's a real local crowd right there, you know what I mean? That's like being out and campaigning out in front of a grocery store in your neighborhood, you
Okay.
know? Anyway,
Number two,
yep.
Kamala's faces. She did a great job reminding people how unlikable she is. Her voice, her nasally,
May I?
well, just if I were part of Team Trump, which still waiting on that first paycheck, guys, you really did yourself a service by not hiring me before the debate because clearly,
What's wrong with these people?
I mean, give me a break. But they should cut up a montage of all of her faces that
Oh,
she
I think
made.
that's coming, bro.
Yeah, we'll see.
We gotta get through the cat memes first and then, head to that one.
Yeah, we'll see if they do a montage. I'm sure somebody on the internet will do it, but let's see if Team Trump actually has the
Excuse me.
brass to do it in a campaign ad.
Mhm.
Number three, Biden putting on a Trump hat.
Oh, bro. Is that a politician that's checked out or what?
I
Yeah.
mean,
He's done.
if you can't beat this administration, you don't deserve to run.
No.
You don't
No.
deserve to be president, and
No.
Americans deserve what's coming to them if he doesn't make it in because
Yeah,
I've
good
it's
point.
embarrassing how much this guy has checked out since late
All
June.
the little kids have got Trump shirts on all around him, right? You know?
He to to think this guy who was fomenting how
Mhm,
he's a threat to democracy
mhm.
is the enemy of America.
Yep.
Satan incarnate.
More or less. Yeah.
To put on his hat giggling shows how little they actually think about Trump being evil and a threat to democracy, and B, just how much this dude does not care anymore.
Mm.
He doesn't care about Kamala. I don't think he wants Kamala to win, honestly. I mean, I wouldn't personally. I
Yeah.
mean, yes and no, because I don't know what kind of backdoor deals he has to keep himself out of jail and his son out of jail. So maybe in that aspect, he needs her to win. Uh,
Hmm.
but man, from a pride standpoint, I'd be like, I told you guys I was your best shot. And if she wins, it makes him look like a dunce. And that will be lagging on his legacy. And I don't think he wants that. And clearly, by putting on a Trump hat, that could have just been an old man moment.
It was.
In part, but I mean, all of those things are controlled with
Hmm.
advance and comms and campaign people. So for that to even make it in there, and that was in a firehouse. Where was that, guys? Was that Pennsylvania or was that New York or what?
I
It was New
think it
York.
was. Yeah.
So he was up in
Thought it
New
was.
York because it was the
Right.
same day as 9/11.
Hmm.
So they went
Right.
over to Westchester County or wherever the hell they went down the road. Or
Although
maybe it was,
Trump was in Shanksville that
okay.
morning. So
So that may have
maybe.
been, that's what I was thinking,
Right.
because Biden left early, which is also disrespectful from
Right.
the 9/11 memorial, went down to Shanksville, did that first, then Trump was there
Hmm.
overshadowing him and doing what he does. So it was in Pennsylvania is where that was. But but for but for campaign people not to go, can we get these little kids out of these friggin' t-shirts, right? And then somebody goes, here, try that on, right? I mean,
Do it. Do
right,
it. Hmm?
right. And he does it. And he does it, Rick. He does it. It's like, you'll get ice cream, Lieutenant Dan, ice cream,
That
right?
is the acting president of the United States. Like, I can't even believe we're here. I cannot believe we literally have a doting old man
Yeah.
who's he's that grandpa that walks around in his underwear and a t-shirt
Hmm.
while guests are over. Like he just
Right.
does not care.
Open
Right.
robe,
Just like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm here, guys.
Yeah.
Let's party. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
he's
tell
the
you some
guy that
stories.
owned the house that
Right.
Marty Byrde and his family rented from in Ozark. You know, Harris Yulin, rest his soul, no longer alive, great actor, just walks around open robe, takes it off, goes down to the lake, and you're like, oh my God, Grandpa, right?
It's bad. It's really bad. So Trump has uh he's still got some things that are helping him. I mean, the polling obviously after I am surprised and I feel a little better knowing how bad he did, but more
Mhm.
importantly, how people responded to Kamala and not buying her turn the page, her let's not go backwards. Like people are more cognizant of she's not the incumbent.
Yeah, no, and she has no power,
Yeah,
right? For the most part, she's a figurehead.
yeah.
That's it.
But she's been there for 3.5 years. And
Hmm.
when Trump said we should leave right now and go down there and do all those things that you're talking
Hmm.
about, like every time he says that, he can elicit a pondering by people going, huh, I mean, Biden did the same thing. He needs to continue saying that. You thought Biden was going to be a moderate. You voted for Biden because you thought he was going to be the centrist. And
Yeah,
what happened?
yeah, and
All Kamala talked about in that debate was ways she was going to spend money. That was her
right.
only policy.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend money on this. I'm going to
That's
spend
what
money on
Democrats
that.
do.
I'm going to spend money on that.
Right.
And for those of us who are like, we're in debt. Stop spending money. Take the credit cards away from the kids
Right.
so we can balance this checkbook already.
Correct.
Well,
And
you know,
that's really easy math. Just real quick, that's really
Mhm.
easy math for people to get and to go, why is she waiting? She's already there. Just get it done now. I'm in pain, right? What is this? I'll do it then, or I'll kick the can down the road. No, no, thank you. And I think that is going to also be a confidence diminisher, if you will, or remove any confidence from people going, you know what? This guy shoots his mouth off sometime, but he gets shit done. All right.
Yeah.
And I was better off with him. This crowd over here, forget about it. We're just going to have more of the same. No thanks.
The
No,
most, I wouldn't say the most telling part, but they did. I think Trump posed the question, or maybe they did. I don't recall the moderators. You know, are you better? Are people better off now than they were 3.5, 4 years ago? And she completely blew it off, talking about,
yes.
I come from the middle class,
First
and I'm
question
going
out
to
of the
have all
box.
these questions. So and Trump, I think, kind of let her get a little bit off, but people heard the question.
He let
So
her get
it's
away with it. And
yeah.
that's
Well,
He
both of
look
them
he
did, David Muir, and because she didn't answer
yeah,
the question.
he
right.
should
What did
have
you guys
known if
think of
he was going to do
that
that
being the
every
first?
single time those two
Right.
interjected. He should have pulled it out of him and been like, "Are you going to make her answer the
I
question?"
agree.
Yeah, I agree.
They went back at least twice with him and said, "Well, I want to get back to this question because you didn't
Right.
actually give an answer." He should
Right.
have pulled that out and be like, "Are you gonna treat her the same way
Yeah.
as you're
Well,
treating?"
I'm not gonna jump into the minutia of how they put their thumb on the scale because they clearly did. That's what they
Yeah.
were told to do, and they did it. But what did you guys think of? What was your first visceral and any other reaction to her when he asks this, "Are you better off than you were 4 years ago?" question, and you hear the response of, "Well, this is how I was raised." What was your just tell me your visceral reaction to that?
Well, my reaction was, A, she didn't have an answer for that, well, she has an answer. She didn't want to give that answer. And oh, by the way, everybody knows the answer. That's what I'm saying. In 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 the end of it all, it's really not going to matter. It's like when a prosecuting attorney is in court and he asks a hostile question of a witness that the judge might object to, but he asked the question. The jury heard the question. They know what the answer should be. So I
Right.
think that the American public heard the question. They've already figured this out. It was interesting that she just completely tried to deflect, and I don't think that served her well. So again, like I said, I think that the public kind of gets it. I'm not sure how much these debates, as much as they're ballyhooed and promoted, make that much of a difference. I think
They don't.
everybody knew what Trump was likely to be when they came in. I don't think they were shocked or surprised. There was no big moment in it, so it's kind of a difficult thing. One quick point though, I did look it up. The October 1st vice presidential debate will be on CBS, and oh, surprise, surprise, there are going to be two females moderators
Who
as
are they?
moderators. Nora O'Donnell and their Sunday morning host Margaret
Connie
O'Brien. Oh, Margaret Brennan. I'm sorry.
Margaret Brennan.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's just more evidence of the ever decreasing, evaporating male presence in our culture. I mean, come on. We were doing one male, one female. We
Right.
were doing that. Now we're going to do two females. It's like, I mean,
Eh,
I get it.
that's all
It's
right.
like,
That's fine. Let them do it. See this broad over here? She won all 3 debates.
yep.
Is
Yep.
was she ever president?
Nope.
Nope, because they don't matter. And so,
they don't.
Ricky, tell
But
me your visceral because I want to ask both you guys another question about a similar topic. What was your visceral to that when you heard the little robot from ABC ask the question, and then you heard the empty bag saleswoman tell you there was something in the bag, but you couldn't see it until after you elected her?
Well, I knew she was going to give that answer. I didn't necessarily know she was going to try to pull out the middle class Joe, but all I could think was, ha 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 ha, this is perfect. This is perfect. Trump, this is a perfect chance for you to be Trumpy. You could have been like, oh, it was tough in the main streets of affluent Canada.
Right. Do you notice how she said she was raised by her mom and she completely did not ever even mention her Marxist socialist professor, daddy? Did you
Yeah,
notice that?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And good on Trump for bringing it up. He brought up some things. I just,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
that was one of the points where it would have been funny. It would have been great clickbait. Oh, it was tough on the mean streets of Canada. And you got a winner right there. Like right off the bat, boom.
Right.
You're on the front
Right.
foot, she's on the back foot. But instead, he allowed her to get away with it and pretend that she's middle class Joe,
Right.
and he went to all of his old plays, and my visceral reaction to her not answering was, this is what it's going to be. Let's see if they hold her to it, the
Mhm.
debater, or pardon me, the moderators.
Moderator, yeah.
They
If there's
didn't.
any follow-up.
And right then and there, when they didn't do it, question one, I would have already had it trained into my head. Okay, it's up to me now to draw it out of her. We knew this was going to happen. And now I need to put these other two on blast to show how rigged this whole thing is. And
Alright.
It is
So,
funny
here's
how
my thinking. Here's a question. Go ahead, Don. Go ahead,
no,
buddy.
real quick and it's almost tasteful. It is funny how the word moderator rhymes with masturbator.
Oh
Just a
my
thought that
goodness.
went through my head
We're
that
gonna
when
have
I was
to edit
watching.
that out. Oh my
I
goodness.
know. I'm sorry. I can't. Sorry.
No,
children,
that's all right. So given if we're in, it seems like we're in agreement that Kamala was. I almost brought an empty paper bag, and I went, "Here's all the contents of Kamala's speech," and I was going to turn it upside down and shake out the contents of her definitive points, but I forgot to. And if we're in agreement that Kamala did not define her positions, which I think we are. Trump defined some, not enough, left a lot of meat on the bone, right? Um, what's next for Kamala to define who she is and what she stands for, in your opinion, notwithstanding whether you think they're just going to shine it on and pull a Hillary and wrap her up in cellophane plastic paper and also do a basement Joe strategy simultaneously. Forget about that for a second. What does she have to do to win your vote as an undecided to move you over from a decided position to her position? What has to happen next? Just attack that briefly, you guys.
well, it's the only thing that they can do, and that's scare people enough to not vote for Trump.
So
Like
no specifics, just he's the boogeyman. Go after him, and oh my
her,
God, January 6th, et cetera, et cetera.
well, she's going to continue to play turn the page, so she needs to continue talking about all the things that she's flip-flopping policy wise and figure out a way to convey that why she's changed. She can
Hmm.
dodge those questions, she can deflect. She'll have the media that'll be complicit in helping with that. If I were her, I would say, this was a great learning experience as VP, and I got to learn what to do and what
Excuse me.
not to do. And I steered course. I would turn back to JD Vance and I'd be like, you guys, if
Dude.
you're going to razz on me for changing my position on things, you ought to do the same thing to JD Vance, who said this about Trump, who said that about Trump. And he's okay to do that. Why am I not? And you could play the
All right.
identity politics. I'm a female, blah, 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 blah. Is that why I'm
Oh,
not
it's
getting
gonna
the
play
same
that.
the doubt? But she would be better served not doing that because people are uh, independents and people in the middle, undecideds, are tired of the independent politics stuff. Right now, they want to be ensured that A, we're going to be safe, and
All
B,
right.
we're going to have money in our pockets. So,
Don, what about you? What does she have to do? Excuse me.
Well, she's engaging in a strategy that, for all she could win with, and that is say very little, let the media, attack my opponent, and I can kind of stand by the sidelines and look, moderate, middle class, whatever. I don't think she's intent on saying anything that's definitive or that will lay out what her strategy would be if, in the event she becomes president. But to me, it's you know, and why I don't really have an issue with Trump in spite of everything I've seen. It's that these people have screwed up this country so badly in the past 3.5 years. A part of me wants to see her win just because I know she's going to fail. And the media can't cover it up because she's going to be there. She's going to be that person in the Oval Office while the country is $33 trillion in debt,
Excuse me,
engaged
Don
in two
Juan.
foreign wars. Yes, sir.
Don Juan, does your wife know this side of you? Because that's a little masochistic. I just wanted to point that out for our
No, no. But
viewers.
to be honest,
You're on the No
she's
Filter Network.
she supports that. I mean, she is extremely, I would say, I wouldn't say anti-feminist, but certainly traditional female.
Yeah. Well, I was on a call earlier today with a guest that we're going to have on the show in the not too distant future. She's an artist that I admire a great deal, and she was telling me that she has no qualms whatsoever about Donald Trump, his personality, the things that he's done or hasn't done, et cetera.
yeah,
Uh,
most
and
women don't feel that way.
well,
That's
enough of them do, but I mean, this one is somebody who's mature and in touch with both the religious side of her, the creative side of her, et cetera. And so she was like, look, I can see the things that people point out for what they are, and then you evaluate that in the sum total and all that wonderful stuff. But my professional side of me and then my sort of, practical side of me is American voters aren't going to tolerate someone who won't tell them where they're going to be taken.
Hmm.
Nobody's going to buy a ticket not knowing what the journey is going to be on. Or enough people may, but not a majority. I'll put it that way. And so that also gives Trump an opening, and that is if they are gambling, to use your parlance, Rick, on Kamala continuing the wrapped in plastic Hillary Clinton, keep them away from the media strategy, which was a failing strategy to begin with. That started sort of midsummer of 2016, and they just completely screwed that up. Slash basement strategy of Biden 2020. Those two strategies are doomed to fail. So if Trump is saying that's what his people are saying, that's what they're going to keep doing, therefore no details or very few media highlights, yada, yada, yada. People don't trust the media anyway. Go for it. We're going to go out and define who and what we are. He started that in Tucson yesterday. And again, you watch what was it, Rick? Maybe hour and 15 minutes, something like that. 25 minutes of it interspersed was Trumpy isms and let Trump be Trump stuff. The rest of it, he actually friggin' talked about his tax plan, his border plan. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. There were probably about 15 very definitive things which have been on his website and social media since April. And the I'm an open book comment he made in the debate, he continues to do that, which simply means people know where I stand. Well, they don't know where she stands. I don't think people are going to fall for it, guys. They're
I
not going
hope
to
not.
tolerate it much longer, and the polling numbers will bear that out. I think to some extent.
I hope not.
Yeah.
But I don't think that you can call the wrapped in cellophane Biden basement plan a failure, because is Trump president right now?
No, no, I know what you mean
Because
by that. I
Biden
just think
did
that
that successfully and
they
won.
did
Here's the
in a very
difference.
different time, but I'm
Yep.
I'm with you.
And
But the times
and
are different now.
here's the difference between her and Clinton. While both may be unlikable, one is black. It's plain and simple.
Don, is Kamala Harris black?
I thought she was Asian Pacific something or other. Look, yeah.
She's
Well,
colored,
She's
she's
Jamaican and Asian.
minority, whatever you want to call it.
right.
She gets that grace. Okay. People can't openly be distasteful of Kamala in the way they can a Hillary because of that factor. Whether you think so or
Maybe.
not, it's just what it is. And because of that, she will be allowed to do a little bit more. And I think personally, she's got a great opportunity.
Well,
Look,
again,
I
whether
think
she
she's got a
identifies as
great
black and people
opportunity
buy
right
that
now.
bullshit, they want specifics and they want to know where the journey is that she wants to take him. And if she doesn't give it to him, she undercuts all of this other grace, which is a very good
Which is right.
verb to use.
And one of
So
the other things that
good word use.
is uh, makes me feel better is seeing some of the journalists from the more left-leaning outlets
Mm-hmm.
talking about how she's giving empty calories.
Yeah, good call.
She's not talking about
Mm-hmm.
issues. She's not saying what her policies are. She's copying and pasting, literally copying and pasting her economic plan from the Biden page to her page.
Yep.
They are talking about that stuff. And when they talk about it, it lets me know there's some concern with what she might be overall, because you can call it a Republican talking point. The voting of her is the most radical, this, that, or the other. But
That's just
until
base
she
language.
finds
Yeah.
herself and gives a reason why she has moved from A to B,
Mm-hmm.
which I mapped out, she's used Vance. It's the easiest way to do it. Use your experience. Easiest way to do it. Will she
Mm-hmm.
do that? I don't think she will.
I don't think she will either.
Yeah, I just
And
think that
that's part of the basement
right.
non-specific strategy. But yeah, what were you gonna say, Don?
Here's the thing that scares me, because I've seen this coming for a while, and to some degree, and I'm just saying this in a mocking way. Yeah, I did kind of agree with Vivek when he talked about raising the voting age to 25. Well, oh, by the way, when your brain is fully formed by then,
Right.
um,
Right.
because what I'm seeing is I'm almost seeing kind of a replay of 2020 in this regard. Because now that you have these Swifties who are now for Kamala, they don't. None of these folks care about governance. They just want to win the damn thing so they can have a party and feel good about themselves and all this stuff. That's what they want. I can see the inaugural concert with Taylor Swift and Beyonce and the whole. But at the end of the day, on January 21st, you got to actually do the damn job,
Yeah.
and
Well,
she can't do it.
let me remind the Swifties and anybody who thinks that's going to help her poll numbers at all.
Not
How has Taylor Swift made her career? The last
talking
time
about bad choices, baby.
she's written, all she does is write about the bad choices that she makes
Well,
and the people she puts stock in. So you're going to take your advice from that. It's like you've got a historical Democrat who's been a Democrat. His whole family was Democrats, died as Democrats,
Yeah.
ran as a Democrat, got kicked out of the party as a Democrat,
Exactly.
telling you beware of Democrats.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
Especially today. You know what I love about that is it's like I'm gonna go watch a golf tournament tomorrow. I'm a decent golfer. I am always gonna be an amateur golfer. I'm not a professional golfer. I don't play one on TV. I don't I don't pretend to be one. It's like these little weekend warriors, whether they're at gyms or they're on the golf course or wherever the hell they are, that are like, this is who I am, right? And it's like, no, you actually have a 9 to 5 job and you do something different, and you do this part of the time. These
Well,
people go out and grind it out every day, football field, golf course, wherever. And the relatability of some some celebrity who's become a billionaire by writing songs about bad choices, you're not going to be that. And so the relatability, it just kind of goes right
and I
by.
hate to break it to Taylor, but she has quite a large
Be,
Republican fan base. She
be
used to
gentle.
be a country
Right.
music singer. She's
Right.
not Lady Gaga,
Right.
okay? She's
Well,
not Beyonce.
Whose old man is conservative, by the way,
correct.
which
Yeah,
is interesting.
you don't have a activist. Taylor's never been the activist type. Beyonce did that, and then she plummeted and tried to
Yep.
become a country star, and of course
Right.
was able to become a country star because people buy anything.
Right.
And you have Lady Gaga, who obviously was a champion of the freaks and the LGBTQ and the outcast community. So activism and outcast, yeah,
Mhm.
that's the Democrat Party. But Taylor is a minutia of a lot of different things, and I'm
100%.
starting to see Republicans for Swifty or Swifties for Trump T-shirt
Yeah.
Right.
that were
Yeah.
already popping up because they
Well,
knew this was about to happen.
yeah.
Like
To
they knew Taylor was going to do something to
oh yeah.
support a female president. That's her brand.
Hmm.
So it's not shocking. I just don't think it's going to send the shockwaves in through the voting polls. Like,
So,
Well,
in the time we've got left, what, in your individual opinions, do Trump and Harris need to do? I'm kind of setting us up for next week and the week after. What do Trump and Harris need to do next week and the week after to continue their momentum that they currently have, one outpacing the other, perhaps, et cetera, et cetera? What needs to happen in both camps in your view, Don?
well,
Excuse me.
first, though, to paraphrase Michael Jordan, Republicans buy songs too.
Mm-hmm.
So Taylor Swift should be aware of that. And oh, by the way, kind of on the side, have you seen Travis Kelsey lately? Look what she's done to him.
You mean her
Yeah,
old man that wears Gucci and has a child molester mustache? Yeah, I
talk
saw that
about talk
freak at the
about
U.S. Open.
emasculation. I'm like,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
please. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so what Trump needs to do is what I think he's been doing the past couple of days. He doesn't have to come out every single day with a new
Let me
policy.
ask you a question. This is
Sure.
directly at Rick. How the hell did they get $100 million contract for a friggin' podcast, bro? Okay. Look at Rick. He's like, I don't know, but they should give it to me. Anyway, Don, go.
I,
Go
Uh,
continue,
I
please.
was just gonna say that I think the strategy, as they're playing it out, will work. You come out and talk policy. What I don't want to hear though, I don't want to hear any talk about E. Jean Carroll. I don't want to hear talk about prosecuting election officials before, during,
Mhm.
or after the fact. I
Mhm.
want to hear about money, economy, crime, the border, nothing else. If he sticks
Mhm.
to that and doesn't go wandering off onto all these other things that he's been has tended to do at times, I think he'll win. But because anytime he diverts from the message that the media doesn't want him to give, they pounce on it.
Got it.
And so as long as he comes out not every day with the new policy, but emphasizing like the no taxes on tips, oh by the no tax on Social Security, thank you very much, and every
Overtime.
yeah, and overtime. He keep hitting that because that's where people live. All the other stuff
Yep.
doesn't matter.
Ricky, what do you think, man? What does he got to do? What do they both have to do?
Well, Kamala, first of all, has to do what she's always done naturally, which is throw the male that got her into her position under the bus. And she needs to do that with Biden. In
She's
terms of
already done it.
explaining policy, she needs to go, Vance,
So separation.
Vance change and separate from Biden. Be like,
Mhm.
this is why I'm going this route because I've learned what we need to do. I was for fracking. We've got this amount of oil production. Use all those fake numbers and continue to show that it's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Excuse
will
me.
she be able to do that? She needs to be compassionate about the plight of Americans and put all of that blame on Biden and none of it on her. Trump, on the other hand, what he needs to do is two things. He needs to go, well, I'll say three things. Three things. One is he needs to go to every failed, every place where Kamala has failed policy, like the border. That would be the most
Mm.
important.
Oh, go to San Francisco too.
Go to San Francisco, go to anywhere that Biden and Kamala have failed.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about Afghanistan, talk about the border, talk about go to Springfield, Ohio, or wherever he's talking about where they're eating cats and dogs and this stuff. Um, don't bring up the cats and dogs thing, but talk
Please.
to the people. Okay. Number two is he should go to the smallest towns in America, particularly in swing states, and talk to the people there, the grocery store owners, about how they've been affected by this
Mm-hmm.
economy. Make the campaigns about the small
Make it
people,
about Main Street. Make it about Main Street.
about people that are lower
Excuse me.
middle class. Attack the lower
Yep.
middle class because that resonates with middle class, upper middle class,
Mm-hmm.
et cetera, and
Yeah.
people at the poverty line. And then,
Kamala's part of the elite. I'm with you. She doesn't care
yep,
about you. I'm with you. You guys know that. That's why I'm here. I
remind
couldn't agree
people
more
that
with
the top
that.
1%
Yeah.
votes Democrat and make sure that you draw the distinction
Mm-hmm.
between that and this. And RFK should be able to help with that. Number three is he needs to go to football games. Needs to go to football
Yes.
games. He needs to be at football games. He needs to go out at halftime. He needs to get crowds ruckus and give the
Yeah.
appearance because there will be more people who want Trump in those stands than
Yeah.
don't want it. And I would stick
True.
to college specifically
College.
because
Okay.
the
All
pros,
right.
you know, maybe they'll be a little bit more reticent, but
Mm.
college age kids, especially bros, love him.
All right. That's good. That's good analysis. So Kamala is again needs to be further illustrated as part of the 1% and the elite. I'm over here, right? So I haven't looked at the schedule yet. Somebody sent it to me day before yesterday of where he's going. I saw Tucson on there. I don't know where he's going to be this weekend.
He's going to be here in Vegas.
Great, fantastic, even better. So he's doing a West Coast piece, which means he'll be back at least once to 1 to 3 more times, right? Um, he resets, comes back to Mar-a-Lago Sunday night or whatever the heck it is, right? He should go New York again, Philadelphia again, um, over to Chicago, Wisconsin. Don't forget about Michigan. He's got to go there. So 1, 2, 3, and then drop down into. And if
Georgia.
he wants to, he can go Ohio, Michigan, Chicago, South Side, Danny Davis's congressional district, black gerrymandered congressman, wonderful fellow, Wisconsin, dropped down into El Paso, Texas, and then over to Aurora, Colorado, and then out to the West Coast. And you've got economics, immigration, border security, poverty, crime, migrant crime, etc., hitting on all these things that are going to illustrate where and how people are. There is no way, because the rest of the 8 weeks of this campaign are about what is he doing and saying, what is she doing and saying, how do they contrast? Remember, 50+1, red wine with dinner, white wine with dinner in a general election. What are we going to pick, right? There is no freaking way, you guys, she can contrast anything that she's done up to this point, because she's trying to run away from it, will do, without being specific. Because if she keeps falling into this same old of partitioned events where she's boxed out and she just gives a little cutesy speech. Because what did Trump do after 9/11, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Or excuse me, after the debate, he went into the press box and then did an interview on Hannity. She went on to some stage with some pre-packaged little program with balloons going, "Yay, me," like that. Didn't say a damn thing, just talk to her base.
Well,
She can't do it.
there's
And you
one
will
issue.
undercut her left and right.
There's
That's
one
my take.
issue that wasn't discussed at during the debate, and really hadn't been discussed that much during the campaign, which I think if Republicans and Trump emphasized it enough, would undercut her appeal with black voters, and that is education,
Mhm,
particularly the failing.
mhm.
Because I looked it up the other day just because I was curious to get actual stats, because I go back and forth with people on Facebook all the time. If you look at the major school systems in Los Angeles, in San Francisco, in Atlanta, in Baltimore, in New York, and Chicago, they're all failing. We're talking about, at best, 30% of the students in these schools who are
Yep.
largely black and minority who cannot read, cannot do math at their grade levels. We're talking only 30%. That's a
Which is
failure
terrible.
of Democrats at
Excuse me.
every level, federal, state, local. If Republicans, if they bring up the point, she's going to have to talk about it. That's what she talks about, her ethnicity and being black. Well, there's nothing more concerning the black parents than education. You point out those statistics and make the Democrats answer for what they failed to do, and I think that'll knock her off her game. It's not
Well,
going to
in
be
addition
an
to the
overall tragedy,
immigration
but
issue that has just pounded low income and minority neighborhoods, right? Or communities, as they like to say, which is just adorable double speak. Um, Uncle Rico, say hello to Jean Forsberg. She's on. Hello, Jean. We love
Hi,
you.
SJ. Thanks for
She's a little
showing in.
sweetheart.
is
Little
is 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 Jean's the is she the Minnesota Twins fan? What I
Mm-hmm.
recall. Oh,
Minnesota
okay, I
nice.
recall.
That's
I recall.
Jean. We love Jean. Here,
There we
Jean,
go.
this is for you.
She's one of the sane few in Minnesota that's left.
Minnesota nice, right? Um, give me your thoughts real quick. I've got to jump, sadly, because I could talk about this all day. About, again, not what they have, just what they have to do next, but what does your gut tell you about what the next month is going to look like, and what does it need to look like? So I want food for thought for next week. And it's interesting because next week I'm traveling out to California for a senior staff meeting for governors. So I'm going to be able to hear a lot of what is going on politically on the ground while I'm out there.
It's gonna be a lot of traveling. Trump traveling, doing speeches, Kamala pretending to juggle her job as a vice president and a candidate. She'll go to her rallies. He'll go to his. He'll make himself more available. It's up to him to remind people that she's the current vice president. And why
Yep.
hasn't she done anything? He needs to
Mm-hmm.
drill that into people's heads.
Mm-hmm.
You want change. You don't want what's been happening. She's a part of the administration that made this happen. She will not be any different.
She's the status quo. Got it. Don, what do you think?
Well, as far as Kamala Harris, she's going to continue with this strategy. It's working. The media really asked her no substantive questions, so she doesn't have to be concerned with actually answering anything that might offend a voter here or there. So for Trump, it's got to call her out. Just every time he's making a policy speech, put her name in it. Call her out when you're talking about the economy or the border or crime or whatever. And oh, by the way, real quick, those phony statistics that the FBI put out regarding the lessening of crime, it's like, yeah, for a 3-month period. And everybody in the media runs with it. I'm sorry.
That's a
That's
joke.
not it drives me nuts because it's not telling the truth
Nope,
more than
it's
anything else.
not.
But
It's a
again,
joke.
for Trump, he
Well,
just
here's
needs to stick to the facts, stick to the
well,
issue.
thank you. So here's my assessment briefly is um again, we agree if we agree that she did not provide specifics like she should have, could have, like we are used to in the debate. She has yet to do it. I think the media hype, help, hide, cut and run strategy has limited runway. So good luck with that, Kamala, if that's what you're going to do, because the American voter wants to know you're selling them the ticket. Where are we going? It's not a blank roadmap that we want. We want to know what our destination is, right? The person who does that wins the confidence of a candidate. There's two investments that people make in candidates. One is their vote, and usually prior to that is a financial contribution or volunteering their time, right? Anybody that does that, you can pretty much guarantee they're going to vote for that candidate. And then you've got the enthusiasm factor behind them, muted or not by media bias. It's going to be real interesting to see whether or not she is forced to deviate from the cut and run, hide and run, cover me mainstream media strategy. I think we'll see that probably between just up to the October 1 debate and just after, because next week in some states, Pennsylvania, ballots go
The
out,
voting.
early voting, right? So we'll see. We'll see. I'm looking forward to next week. I will be in California when we do the show. So that's going to be fun. And, and maybe doing that from a balcony in Malibu or something. So we'll see. We'll see. But we'll have some fun. We always do. You guys are awesome. Um, have a wonderful weekend. I know I will at the Solheim Cup. I can't wait. I am, happy as a cat with kittens, right? Rick's like, oh my God, I can't believe you're a golf fanboy. Come on, right?
So
A
it's
woman's golf fanboy,
Love
not
the
a golf
LPGA, baby.
fanboy, an LPGA fanboy.
You know what I love is they're
Let's make that distinction very clear.
very clear. We got it. But you know what I love is so this is an LPGA event, right, in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And, 40, 50 years ago, the LPGA events were being sponsored by Virginia Slims.
Slims. Yep.
So when you go to one of these events, do they give everybody a free putter with their ticket, or like how do they get people to come to those events?
Well, I mean, you have to be a fan and, all that kind of stuff, but there are levels of tickets that you buy. We're spending some corn, I'll put it that way, right?
You can go to the fancy box, the sky
Yes,
box.
Yes, little
The free
Captain
drink
Spots and
hats.
whatnot. Yes, it's gonna be great. Yeah,
Exciting.
yeah. Yeah, well, my wife will take pictures of me when I melt into sugar if Nelly Corda walks by me, and I just go, "Oh my god," right? Number one golfer, female golfer in the
Yep.
world, man. You gotta love that. She gotta have props. She's not a weekend warrior, some fake athlete, right?
Wow.
Wow.
As long as they've cleared up the traffic in and around that
Yeah, well,
facility.
Mohammed's driving us, so I don't give a shit.
Oh, okay, there you go.
I don't care. I don't care why driver's driving us. I don't give a damn. It doesn't matter. But I may have a surprise for you. We may have in the not too distant future a series of real professional athletes from the MMA world on the show. So I'm working that out. I'm definitely going to bring this artist colleague of mine on for a discussion on things, and I'll preview that with you guys offline. But yeah, I've got some interesting things that are coming and happening, and then I've got a couple of members of Congress that are interested in talking on the show and doing some things between now and before election day. So I will let you all know ahead of time about that. And again, just have a great weekend. Really appreciate you guys and everything you have to say. And that's really about it.
I like it.
No,
Absolutely.
thank you everybody for tuning in. This has been another episode of Read the Room. Have a blessed weekend.
From the No Filter Network.
Happy trails.
The No Filter Network.
There we go. All right, guys. See ya.
Alrighty.
Later.